Fuso starting grid. Let's have a look at the way they line up, and getting there just Scott McLaughlin. Pole position after an engine change. What a mighty performance. Jamie Whincup will start alongside in front row of the grid. Then Fabian Coulthard, who's had some front suspension damage in that previous race from last race winner Shane Van Gisbergen on the second row. Then it's Caruso and Bright. They'll re-pressure those tyres for Bright and get it correct in this one. Then James Courtney and Lee Holdsworth celebrating his new deal. David Reynolds out there, and that's a big performance from those guys. When I saw the damage to his car, it's also remarkable that they got it back out. Looking further afield, 11 and 12. And you've got Rick Kelly out there in the Jack Daniels Racing Nissan as well. Nick Percat, Scotty Pye. And look at the conditions in the background there, Scafie, as we rattle through the grid. And it's treacherous until a few more cars get out there. Mark Winterbottom buried down the order from Will Davison. Robert Dahlgren's out there together with Russell Ingall. This is a big story. Craig Lowndes way down the order in position number 21. Todd Kelly, who was involved in that incident with Fabian Coulthard in the previous race. Then it's Jack Perkins and Dale Wood. Then we've got David Wall, Wilson Security Racing for Dick Johnson. He's bringing up the tail of the field. Jamie Whincup on board, one of those in-car cameras that Neil was speaking of, and as I said, his start was very good in the previous race on the front row of the grid alongside McLaughlin for this start, Brett.
Well, Gary Rogers' heart's beating a million miles an hour and he's just catching his breath. That was a huge effort. Gary, any concerns, anything that was touch and go on the car that's gone out there?
Well, nothing touch and go in the car, but obviously it was touch and go in the time. I mean, it was very difficult and look, just fantastic to get it done. Really fantastic.
Good on you, mate. Enjoy the race.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, great job, Gary and the guys. That was a superb performance from all of the team to have Scott McLaughlin, the S60 Volvo, on the front row of the grid. Scott Pye on board. He's got the penalty. Will Davison in the Erebus entry. So now they've actually had a taste of the conditions out there in that previous one. I think you'll also see, apart from the variance in the grid, you'll see variance in lap speed performance, because they'll learn a lot from that previous run about tyre pressures, about geometry, about shock absorber settings, and as many things as they can get their hands on to just try and smarten them up. I think it's a reasonably safe bet that although the conditions are changing, it's going to be pretty hard to imagine it being a genuinely dry track at any stage in the next 100 kilometres.
I totally agree with pretty much everyone I saw. I said that you need to make it a proper wet track, and even the ducks are there.
And colleagues just passed me an image of the radar, and it's not pretty.
So can Van Gisbergen repeat his performance? Can McLaughlin challenge Whincup at the start? Look at this radar.
That's where we are, right where the arrow is, and there's just a little gap in it at the moment, but it's just pulsing through. And expectation is we'll get more showers. The way that it's forecast, the showers could be anything up to 30 minutes, intermittent showers, and very low visibility as well. And even lower visibility when you're buried mid-pack in a V8 supercar. Scott McLaughlin's on the pole. Jamie Whincup alongside. It's 330 metres to turn one. Whincup was awesome last time off the line. And Van Gisbergen jumps out strongly. It's a pretty even start, but have a look on the inside of the Kiwi. Fabian Coulthard has blazed down the inside. Whincup looking strong. Van Gisbergen around the outside. They are slipping. They are sliding. And briefly, Coulthard led it, but now it's Van Gisbergen. He and Whincup are trading positions through two. Side by side, nothing in it. And Van Gisbergen squeaks out the other side in the lead.
Great start again, Shane Van Gisbergen, and so was Jamie Whincup with perfect amount of wheel spin. Oh, in the grass for Whincup! That was a monstrous moment. Wow, he got away with that. I thought he was gone for sure. Fabian Coulthard got a great start also. They were four abreast coming into turn one. This is really lively stuff. Up in behind there, that's Scott McLaughlin right in behind Courtney. Courtney, good start also to get away with that. So McLaughlin's gone from position 1 back to position 5.
Whincup ended up with the left-hand side of the car off on the white paint and then in the grass and mud. And there are little rivers on the road. There's a problem for McLaughlin. It's dropped the right rear. After all that hard work, it's thrown the right rear off.
So that just might be, this is on board now, you can just see Scott battling. Be careful because you don't want to end up back on the road. So he's done a really good job there. He ended up having to go out into the grass, but this could be the result of all the frenetic activity before the start of the race. It's popped the whole tyre wheel right off it. So sometimes when all the activity's at the front of the car and you're doing all the work to get the car out there, it's very easy for the simplest things to go wrong. And I would say that there's some problem there in terms of not tensioning that wheel before the start of the race. We'll find out more about that for you, but with the right-hand rear wheel missing now from the S60 on lap 1 of this.
1 second is the margin between Van Gisbergen and Whincup, but looking further down the computer order at the moment, James Moffat has jumped from 12th to 5th in 1 lap, and there he is, and there is the wheel and tyre that parted company from Scott McLaughlin. Larko?
Yeah, and we all know that this sometimes happens, doesn't it? You know, I was talking to Richard Holway, the engineer, that said, I asked him, was the car compromised when it went? And he said, look, mate, we didn't get to bleed the clutch properly. We didn't get to set the full throttle properly. I mean, they just did a great job to get that engine in there, and these are the things that happen.
I heard Scott on the radio talking about not being able to get full throttle in the warm-up lap. And, well, he's made it back. That's a start. But is there too much damage in that right rear? We'll have given that brake rotor a fair belting, and they'll have a very close look at the right rear suspension. They've got the incompressible jacks placed in there. Yeah, they're not allowed under the car. Here's the replay of the start. Bright went nowhere, absolutely nowhere. In fact, he would have had to use the auto start to get it going again. But this was unbelievable with Coulthard down the inside, Van Gisbergen on the outside. They're actually 4 wide at one moment. I thought Fabian was the one that was in good shape, but that tight line really compromises exit speed. And then we saw a terrific battle between Whincup down at turn 2. Look at that. How would you like to be buried in the middle of that field?
So this is on board with James Courtney.
And Bright was to his right, and he just sat there. So I think he's tried to drive it off the line without wheel spin, and now Dahlgren's got a drama here as well. So not a good day for Volvo, sadly.
That's crashed into the fence quite hard. That's coming out of turn 5. So that may be, you can see the slide marks there, and you can see where he's gone in. It may be he's run really wide out into that new section and back across to the left-hand side. We heard Robert just speak. Now that has definitely hit that fence very fast. In the dry, turn 5 is roughly 140 kilometres an hour. It won't be that much slower, roughly 115 to 120k. So here we go. So Wall, they're sideways, they're out. He's just caught, oh, it's just done it himself. Just burst into wheel spin. Turned itself around and straight into the fence. That is a severe hit.
Left front suspension and everything related to it, probably the cross member, so that's ugly. Here it is in real time. This is turn 5. Jack Perkins and David Wall are the other guys either side. And bam. James Moffat, meantime, is on the radio saying he can't see out of his car. So Petter's Chrysler safety car has control of the field. McLaughlin is out. Van Gisbergen's the leader.
Safety car is on the circuit. It will be at turn 2, mate.
Okay, safety car, we've just got the leader coming down pit straight now, and that is off track, left-hand side, well offline.
Safety car received. With car 97 behind us at 60 kilometres an hour.
Okay, thank you. Safety car, just maintain 60 for the time being.
Safety car received.
Safety car, just keep extreme right, extreme right.
Safety car keeping right through turns 5 to 6.
Okay, thank you. Safety car.
Okay, mate, I'll keep you in.
Okay, safety car, just fuel speed 100 west seconds.
V8 supercar plus rain equals chaos. Shane Van Gisbergen is the leader, but they're all dawdling around behind the Peters safety car at the moment. Have a go at this on the opening lap. Whincup ends up probably not being able to see on a cold tyre on top of a painted white line, which then carts him out into the grass and mud. And that was a big moment for him. How's this? Watch this. Yeehaw. And he did a great job to wrestle that back into shape. He actually went up a gear to just calm things down. And it was all going on. James Moffat's been on the radio talking about not being able to see, but he could see well enough to be able to have a good battle here with James Courtney. And the lap times suggesting, oh, wow, that's turn one. Said B1 and B2.
That's fast.
It is fast. And the track's wetter and slower. They haven't really got tyres and brakes up to full temp yet before the safety car came back out, but it's not stopping these guys from having unbelievable racing contests.
Scotty McLaughlin, the last sort of couple of hours, mate, really personified, don't they? The highs and lows of motorsport. You know how to accept them, mate. That's just how it is, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's tough, but you know, these boys were working so hard at the front of the car that they might have missed something at the back that could have happened when I went off the track or something like that. So, hey, they're only human, and so am I. So we'll come back tomorrow and go better.
Good boy. Well done, mate.
Thanks.
Yeah, I don't think you can point the bone too much at the guys in there. They've done everything they can to get that car out there, and somewhere along the line they've missed a step in the checklist. So great sportsmanship there from Scott McLaughlin, who's showing all the signs of being a future champion. Great speed, great attitude, and he'll live to fight another day. But again, impressed Mark by the performance of Shane Van Gisbergen. So there's no tyre temperature, there's no brake temperature. They're pioneers out there. They don't understand the level of water on the racetrack or what they're dealing with, and he's somehow surfing his way around there and finding what he needs to. Whincup trying to stay with him in those first couple of laps, but clearly once again Shane's got pace.
He certainly has. The other thing that was interesting in all that vision we showed when we come back from the break there with the HRT cars and Moffat was around the outside. When we left that battle, Moffat was around the outside of Courtney, ended up prevailing still. So good job, James Moffat, to stay in front of James Courtney. We also heard just before the last break that Moffat was bluing about the visibility. So take a look at this. This is on board with Courtney. You'll see a yellow
Part of it though, James was way out of the throttle with understeer, and then that was the invitation for James Moffat, the other James, to press on from the other direction.
And that is seriously fast.
It is.
It's over 200 kilometres an hour.
It made us both gasp, didn't it? And then Courtney come back down the inside together with his teammate Garth Tander. So we're going to get a restart on this occasion. Lights will go out on the Peters safety car. Van Gisbergen's now going to take control of the field at that regulated speed. They're all lined up. It is Van Gisbergen, Whincup, Coulthard, Moffat, Courtney, Tander, Mostert, Reynolds, Rick Kelly, Michael Caruso. That's your 10. Just outside it's Percat, Bright, Davison, Pye, Todd Kelly, then Winterbottom, Lowndes, Wood and Perkins. David Wall is 20th.
Safety car in pit lane.
Safety car in pit lane, mate. Green flag, mate. Green flag.
Shane Van Gisbergen has control, and then he's the one that makes the determination. Everybody else falls into line. Again, tyres, what little temperature they had, have cooled out, lost half a pound or a little bit more, and so you've got to go back through the exploratory process the mid-pack would be horrible in one of those cars at the moment.
There would be zero visibility by the time he got to turn one then. Garth Tander had a little look down the inside of James Courtney. Mostert's putting a little bit of pressure there. Now the outside line works where Moffat is.
He's
and
grabbed
Fabian.
a spot. He just grabbed a spot, I think, Moffat.
Yeah, he has. He's past Whincup, so he's showing good form. They were talking about making that into a full wet car. And Garth Tander off the road, right out wide at turn 4.
It's got a bruise on the nose too, Garth's car. See the bonnet? There it is. So he's had nose-to-tail contact. Just lost a bunch of spots when he ran wide then. You can see the true effectiveness of those high-intensity rain lights in these conditions as well on our rearward shots.
Three abreast with Bright down the inside of Davison, down the inside of Percat. Great move, Jason Bright. Terrible start. There was a real problem with Jason Bright's car off the line. He basically parked there.
He qualified 6th, so he's in recovery mode 11th at the moment and trying to regain some of that lost ground. He's trying to go around the outside now of Caruso. Moffat's pace was impressive then.
And he's done it. He's done it. He got right around the outside. He drove right around the outside of Caruso. We need to explain to you properly why that is the case. It's just so abnormal to see this stuff. So a little bumping duel there with Fabian and Whincup. And that's how Moffat got round the outside. Again, that line on the outside at turn 3 is the gun line.
When you see cameras judder like that, you know that there's some aggravation going on out there. So this is Bright on Rick Kelly. He actually made some ground. Problem for Moffat's gone off. He's run wide and dropped spots. So that explains what's gone on there. He's drifted down the order. This is Courtney on the outside of Mostert. It's all going on. This is 4th and 5th.
Mostert's doing a really good job now. He's coming forward. That's a very good exchange there with the 2 HRT cars.
Oh, it's wet out there.
And that's the outside line. That line there is far better than the inside.
And just for information, the tyre allocation for wets this and all of the other regular weekends is only 12 tyres. So they're hooking into the use of these at the moment in that first race and now a wet second race. Better hope that it isn't too wet tomorrow or you'll find that it'll be a little bit of a battle. Remember, there's going to be pit stops in that race. You have to try and make up the best sets that you can.
For sure, you would have used a set per race. Courtney off the road. So that's one of the slipperiest sections. That's a new surface down there. Courtney just understeered straight off. He couldn't pull it up. So his teammate, Garth Tander, trickles by. Bright now around the inside of Reynolds. That's not the best line because as you get wide, the grip improves, but he got away with it and straight down the inside of Courtney. So he's showing very good speed.
This underlines the speed that we saw from Bright late in the first race. So he's been able to really come on strong. And as I said earlier in the call, they got their tyre pressures, the starting pressures wrong with the Team BOC car in the last one. But right near the end of the stint, when temps and pressures normalised, he was able to really be effective. So they've obviously learned from that in that bunker. We're in there at the moment with them. It's Chris Clark on the extreme right, the team manager. Brad Jones, the team owner there in the centre of that shot. And they'll be pretty encouraged by what they're seeing. So Bright's now got back to where he qualified. He's given them a head start with that shocking launch from the line. This is Percat with Caruso. They are 11th and 12th at the moment.
Oh, big slide there for Todd Kelly. Mid-corner there, around the inside of his teammate Michael Caruso. He was right out sideways. Huge amount of opposite lock. He got it done. Just sneaking in front of Michael now, using again this outside run around turn 3. You can just hear how slippery it is and how little throttle the guys can apply in that zone of the track. There's Winterbottom, there's Lowndes, who's made pretty good ground as a consequence of where he was in qualifying.
Yeah, well, Lowndes was 21st mark and he's currently showing in 16th. New fastest first sector on this lap in the race for Shane van Gisbergen. He's already opened that margin out to 5 seconds over Fabian Coulthard. There's Shane off in the distance. Here's the battle for second and third.
Of these lead cars, he's roughly a second a lap faster than anybody at the moment. Again, Rick Kelly has had really good performance here in the rain over the years. He won here in 2004 when it was a really wet day. very good car control. Rick's currently in 10th, right in behind Dave Reynolds. And look at this battle for position 2. Fabian and Jamie Whincup taking 2 completely different lines to get onto the straight. Young Chaz Mostert, as I said before, is moving forward. So he's into 4th. Right behind is Garth Tander, who did such an extraordinary job in the previous race, 14th to 2nd. Jason Bright, very good car speed there for Jason, 49.2. It's pretty much Fabian, Whincup, Tander and Bright. They've done the same time, but Mostert's the fastest, other than Van Gisbergen, in that top 5 or 6 cars. Whincup now just sneaks in front of Fabian. There's those lap speed indicators for lap 8. Van Gisbergen, Whincup, Coulthard and Mostert. I went down to speak to the 888 guys about why their car isn't quite as good as the Techno car in the rain. They're a little bit mystified by it. They're obviously not exchanging too much information on those things because the IP of that is and the technical explanation for why the car would be better than somebody else's, they obviously don't want to reveal. But at the same time, they know that both their drivers, Whincup and Lowndes, are fantastic in the rain. And Van Gisbergen is the benchmark. Lucko?
Scaife, you've said a fair bit about using the outside lane in the wet. We see it a lot in Europe where they don't drive in a drought, sort of attack a country like Australia a lot more. But just to explain it, so here's any given corner anywhere. This is your typical racing line. Often it's the shortest distance between the 2 points, or you do it to get a run onto the straight. But what we're seeing here today is a lot of this one. The cars are hanging out here, right out wide, and they're not going anywhere near the apex. Now, that would typically be a slow way around. So what's happening is here's a typical road surface with little bits of aggregate in there, and the tyre grips really well to that. Over time, that wears and wears and wears till you end up with a surface that probably looks a bit more like that. So the aggregate's gone out of in between, the rocks are all smoothed over, and it doesn't grip anymore. So you want to get back out on this jagged stuff, and that's where it is, out wide.
Well explained, Larko. We didn't want to step on you there, but there was a moment, a scary moment for Shane Van Gisbergen, where he just got off the side of the track, picked up a bit of garbage, lost all of the cushion that he'd earned earlier, and he's now got that margin back to 0.5 of a second, Jamie Whincup. Here he is just slopping it through all the garbage, and we could see all the remnants dropping back onto the track as he came on. That's what we saw, and all of a sudden the margin's gone. So just a little bit of a slip up there, pushing to the edge, found it, overstepped it, and can't afford too much of that.
We almost get bogged out there. It's very slippery. The surface is very much a clay type surface at that particular part of the track. When he went off, you could see that it was wheel spinning, battling to get on. I went and saw him. I walked in and congratulated him, shook hands and said, great drive. But one of the things I really thought was very mature in the previous race is he didn't go too hard. He just kept on just sneaking that gap. Well, that's an example now of making a little mistake if you try to make the gap too big.
Plus, it is much wetter in this one than it was in the early one. So the rhythm that you had earlier and whatever settings you had that may have worked perfectly, I don't reckon it's quite what it was out there now. And there's still, even as I look out the window here at the moment, rivers running on the racetrack, and there's, in some parts of the racetrack, you can clearly see it's running, in others it's not.
Oh, there's a bit of bumping and barging there, just on the left-hand side of your screen as they come out of turn 8. So Mostert's going 7 positions, Tander 5 positions. Will Davison, great job, 10 positions from starting from 18th. Todd Kelly, 10 positions starting from 22nd. So they're the guys that have made the most amount of ground so far.
So the battle that we were looking at there a moment ago, Lowndes 17th, Jack Perkins in 18th in the Geraldman entry. Mostert is the one having a little look on the inside here at Fabian Coulthard at turn 2, and that's 4th position and cleanly done. So Chaz Mostert continuing where he left off at Queensland Raceway with great strength. We spoke to him earlier in the day about it, and he's got form. His teammate does not at the moment. So Chaz Mostert now to 3rd, and Mark Winterbottom in 14th position at the moment. And Scott McLaughlin have got the right rear wheel on that car now, and he has rejoined the race, which is great news. So it is icy, slippery out there at the moment. We'll take another break. There's a lot more racing to come here. It's 0.8 of a second officially between Van Gisbergen and this man on screen, Jamie Whincup. Mostert is stalking. He's not too far afield in that Ford Falcon. He just put a move on Fabian Coulthard. His teammate Jason Bright is behind him, and then Garth Tander will be back with more in a moment. We're back at Sydney Motorsport Park, Eastern Creek. The creek's turning into a river out there at the moment because it is mighty wet. I just stepped outside for a quick look. The rain's picked up once more, but it's not stopping Shane van Gisbergen, who's just achieved the fastest lap of the race. 1 minute 46 even. He's got a 1.1 second margin. Meantime, the Brad Jones Racing entries, Lockwood Racing for Fabian Coulthard, Team BOC for Jason Bright. They're in a big battle with each other down at turn 2. That's 4th position for Jason Bright. He's just been marching through the field after that tardy start, and he's now grabbed his teammate and moved up 1. Big effort.
And that wasn't easy. That went on for about 3 laps. And they crisscrossed each other. They around the inside, round the outside. Finally, Bright prevails. So the man that's doing a really good job at the moment in terms of speed is Will Davison, and so is Todd Kelly. Todd Kelly right up in behind now James Courtney. He's in 9th. Will Davison is 7th, and they are showing great signs of pace at this stage of the race.
Scafey, the other guy doing a really good job is Brad Jones. I happened to be standing in there while that was going on. 2 team guys having a battle. The engineers were at each other. Brad put his hand calmly on everyone's shoulder and said, "Everyone calm down." It was great to watch. Good leadership.
Will Davison's just done the fastest first sector from 7th position on this lap. Look at how bad it is on the run in there to 8. Van Gisbergen's going on with these quick sector splits as well, so he's responding. Meantime, just want to remind everybody that Scotty Pye, who's down in 17th, copped a 30-second penalty, and that's got a points impact. That was for his role in the Percat incident, the previous race down at turn 6, car 222. Look at them there. Oh, Mark Winterbottom only just managed to wrestle that back under control. That was in the short chute between the 2 final corners. He got the right rear off the concrete edge then and was really wrestling to get it back. Everywhere you look, there's something happening, and it's impossible to describe just how slippery it is out there at the moment. This is Whincup, who's been off the road. The sheen on the road tells the story. It's an ice skating rink out there at the moment. There's so much water sitting up on it. The light is dropping, the grip is disappearing. And these guys are fighting for a championship. That lets Van Gisbergen off the hook. He's now got 7.2 seconds margin over Whincup after the little slip. So Shane has made a mistake, so's Jamie. But even the very, very best in this country are finding this a massive challenge at the moment.
And there's Kelly. He's got by James Courtney. We made reference last lap to his speed. So the two guys that are really coming forward, Will Davison and Todd Kelly, currently 7th and 8th. So the mistakes, as you said, Crompo, so easy to make in these conditions, so slippery. This is the Gillette Mach 3 replay of Jamie Whincup trickling off at turn 2 and just creeps back out onto the road. He lost 6 seconds. He was 1.2 seconds behind. And this is the Mach 3 replay of a massive moment for Winterbottom. If he went off and ended up in that wet stuff on the outside, he would never get back on. Check the oversteer.
And the lack of visibility. So look at the amount of opposite lock correction. And on the external shot, I could see the water's running there and it's carting dirt off the edge of the track. So it was basically muddy water that he was driving in. Zero grip down there. 7.9 seconds is the gap, Van Gisbergen to Whincup, and then it's Mostert in third. Bright, who's got speed, in fourth. Let's get back to the lane.
Hey guys, down in Pepsi Max, we're watching very closely this battle between Jamie Whincup and Chaz Mostert. Chaz started 11th on the grid. He's up to third and he's battling with Jamie Whincup. His dad Eddie is here with me. Eddie, look, it's a bit tense here, but Chaz is going beautifully.
He's going very well on the moment, Mark. It's very tense moments, but look, just looking at the screen there, he's pulling just a little bit on Bridie's from behind, so he's got a bit of breathing room behind him. And if he finishes where he is, I'll be pretty happy. But, you know, he won't give up. He's a young fella, so he goes well.
Eddie, how's his form in the wet?
It's been very good in the past. Although the race earlier today, I wasn't so sure. But in the past, it's been very good in the wet. So it's good. It's going good.
All right, mate, sit back and enjoy.
Thank you very much.
And he's not too far behind Whincup at the moment. As Reynolds and Lowndes get into it, they're arguing over 14th and 15th in the mid-pack. 7.3 seconds it is between Van Gisbergen and Whincup. And then there's not a huge margin between Whincup and Mostert. And just a reminder that Will Davison's performance in 6th place there at the moment is a pretty fair effort considering he qualified in 18th place. Todd Kelly's also shot up the field in car number 7 from 22nd in qualifying. Lowndes and David Reynolds on the exit of turn 2. Gillette replay shows a little bit of contact down there.
Gee, that's wide. That was almost right off the racing line there on the exit. This is this battle with Winterbottom and Lowndes. Lap 16. So Van Gisbergen with a 7.2 second margin from Whincup. At the moment, Mostert is only 0.3 of a second behind Whincup. So this is a very important moment for young Chaz to not only exert some pressure on Whincup, but also for the team, put Whincup back another spot, because this is the championship battle between FPR and Red Bull Racing Australia, the factory Holden versus the factory Ford. Mostert, very good in the rain. We just heard from his dad, but you don't have to worry about what Dad thinks at the moment. He's showing it. Nice flow, good mid-corner speed, not too much exit oversteer, nice throttle modulation, all the things that are critical to driver technique in the rain. And almost a wheel lock there. You could hear Whincup. That was the spot he made the mistake before. That's where he's made it again. He ran in there a little bit deep. You heard the rear wheels lock. He's around the outside. There's more grip out there, we know that. Chaz did a good job not to spear him there, because if Chaz turned in too fast, he would have run wide across the slippery section and run into the side of Jamie Whincup. So good job to do that.
And remember that Chaz is right in that spray plume of Jamie Whincup's at the moment. In fact, his wiper cycle is on double speed. Scotty Pye, who was in the wars in the previous one, is just off the edge of the road there at the moment, and he may get it out by the look of it. Or does he? Is he stuck in the marbles down there?
Well, he looked like he almost had it moving enough to get it going, and then it stopped. So whether it's actually bursting the wheel spin.
If he's got the front of it buried, it shoves the gravel into the nose of it, and then you can't move it. It just acts like a shovel. So voice of Tim Schenken, race director in the background. This is almost certainly going to trigger the Peters safety car. So here is what happened. Michael Caruso contact with Scott Pye down at turn 6, and just by dropping those rears off the edge of the track, and I would imagine getting gravel in the front of the car as he's tried to join back on, he just can't get out of there. So you can tell by the body language that he's unimpressed with the outcome.
And that's almost exactly the same circumstance that Scott was down the inside of Nick Percat in the previous race. So the exact reverse as Dick Johnson, one of the legends of our sport, looks on. He won't be happy about that. Young Scott Pye always shows good pace and progress in the rain.
So we're just waiting for the field to queue up behind the Chrysler Pettis safety car, and here's the highlights of what we've seen so far. So the first notable thing was that Jason Bright went nowhere. He would have had to auto start it and get it going. Then we lost the right rear off the back of Scotty McLaughlin's car on lap 1 after that frantic engine change between races for those guys at Volvo. What a great shame for them. Bitterly disappointing considering how much hard work. They brought the car in. It took them a little while to rectify some damage in the right rear corner. They don't like the belting on the right rear suspension and that brake disc. Meantime, his teammate almost simultaneously, Robert Dahlgren, found it very slippery on the exit of turn 5 and rotated on the high side back to the inside fence. Some great battling going on between James Courtney and James Moffat down at turn 1. On the subject of James Moffat, he, like Mark Winterbottom a little bit later in the race, found all that muddy water on the outside down there. Shane Van Gisbergen making an unusual mistake in the wet conditions. And there have been a lot of people finding themselves in the wars out there. There's Jonathan Webb, Steve Hallam, everybody in at Techno Autosports, Jeff Slater, engineer, watching on. Super slow-mo replay, as I said a little bit earlier in the show, makes it all look nice and fine and dandy, but the reality is it's very hard work in the cockpit. Contact between Michael Caruso and Scotty Pye has triggered that safety car, and so the field will be coming back under control. We'll take the opportunity to get back into the lane and answer some more questions. Here's Barrett's.
Hey, down in the bunker with Jono Webb at Techno Autosports, and for Shane Van Gisbergen, Jono, everything going quite sweetly at the moment.
It is at the moment. No, it's not easy for the guys out there, but you know, Shane's made a couple of little mistakes, but generally he's done a really, really good job.
Why is he so good in the wet?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think maybe being a Kiwi, there's plenty of rain and plenty of cold weather over there. So, yeah, growing up around that sort of stuff, he's done a lot of dirt racing in the past. So, you know, when it's slipping and sliding around, he's still pretty comfortable.
Of course, after this weekend, you jump in with him for the Enduro season. The form he's in, you've got to be looking forward to that.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, Shane's done a great job this year. The boys have really picked their game up. You know, they're just getting better and better every weekend. So, you know, it's up to me next. Got to try and step up to the platform, and I'll do it the next test day. Hopefully that'll get me up to speed, and really looking forward to getting back in the car.
It'd be great to see you back in the car, Jono. All the best.
Thanks.
Family-owned team.
Ryan Madison, Will Davison sitting nicely in 5th position at the moment. That's 13 positions he's made up in this race. He was not happy after the first race. The car wasn't to his liking, but him and Luke have worked really well to get it to a nice setup for this one.
Yeah, outstanding combination for this one. Will said coming into the event that he was really looking forward to being back here, so nice that he can put some results together. Great to see him plucking his way through the field. He's doing a fantastic job.
And more good news for the team as well in recent days. Lee Holdsworth re-signing with the team. Great stability moving forward.
Yeah, it's exactly right. Key word is stability, like you said. Consistency is the main aim for us. We've seen that from the other major players up and down the category. So we need to make sure that our future's set.
2 good drivers and a great team to go forward into the future.
Yeah, thanks very much. Looking forward to it.
Thanks, Ryan.
Thanks.
Hey guys, the Holden family will be jumping out of the couch today because there's some very good news after Shane Van Gisbergen's race win earlier today. Holden has wrapped up the Manufacturers Championship for 2014. They have done the job, and Holden fans everywhere will be delighted, and that's particularly a good mate of ours, Greg Murphy, who celebrates his 42nd birthday today. So Murph at home, happy birthday. Hope that's made your day.
I'll bet you that Greg's very happy for you to reveal all that there, Barrett's. Happy birthday, Murph. This is the replay of Caruso down the inside. As I said, it was almost an exact replica of the previous race incident with Scott Pye and Nick Percat.
And it's under investigation, not surprisingly. And we may see an outcome either within the race or immediately after. But, that's the view from onboard Rick Kelly over his right shoulder. And just have a look at the screen and the lack of visibility.
Okay.
The lights dropped another chunk out there. It's still raining. Van Gisbergen, the leader from Whincup. He's trying to hunt a championship in the process. Then Mostert, who has had pace. So has Jason Bright. Will Davison has now moved up to 5th. Fabian Coulthard, Garth Tander, Todd Kelly came from a long way back to be up into 8th. Then James Courtney, Rick Kelly, Nick Percat, James Moffat, Craig Lowndes, Mark Winterbottom. So it's interesting that there's been a Red Bull Racing and Pepsi Max Ford Performance Racing battle going both at the top of the field and in the mid-pack.
Hey, Brad Jones, just want to quickly, before these guys restart, talk about, gee, that's hard managing a team. I love the competitive nature between the boys, but you did have to calm them down.
Yeah, they were. I mean, they're all so competitive, but Fabian's car's fogging up so he can't see, so he's very frustrated. So it's just, they just need to get a lid on it. The guys know what the rules are out there, and they got by each other, and while it wasn't perfect, it was okay.
It was good leadership, mate, I said. Good leader guy.
Yeah, thanks very much. Good luck with that.
Well, Brad Jones there speaking with Mark Larkham. I think this lap round we'll get a restart in this race. So car 8 and 14, Bright and Coulthard. And don't forget, we've got the Pertec Enduro Cup coming up beginning at Sandown on the 13th of September. Then we roll into Bathurst and then on to the Gold Coast. Very different style of event. Those 3 events, by comparison to these super sprint races that we're watching, we're looking forward to being down at Sandown mid-September. So the majority of the field are using the new spec windscreens in these cars with particular anti-fog material that's wiped on the inside, and both Bright and Coulthard have got that, but clearly for whatever reason Fabian's car has got more fogging going on inside it.
So here we go. Restart again on the inside of the road. Van Gisbergen, but looks like Whincup's got a little run. He has got a run on him. He's down the inside. Mostert goes to the outside. And Whincup gets down the inside of turn 1. They've had a bump. They've had a bump mid-corner then. They definitely made contact.
And that could open the door here for Mostert. Whincup really slithered through turn 1. He tried to force the issue down the inside. Mostert now has a crack on the other side of him. Meantime, Van Gisbergen's grabbed the lead once again. Watch Mostert. He's ideally positioned here. He has made a move. Whincup was so lucky down the inside there of turn 1 to not end up slithering off the road. Look at Mostert down the inside for the lead of the race. And he's got the inside running here on Van Gisbergen, but the high line is working for the Kiwi, who snatches it back.
Oh! Flag 36, flag cry for penalty for driving infringement. That's the flag cry for penalty, car 36.
So that's Michael Caruso. The incident that we saw before, car 16. So how's that exchange in this restart? Tyres have cooled out somewhat. There's manoeuvring going on behind this as well. It's Van Gisbergen, Mostert, Whincup, Bright, Davison, Coulthard, Tander. Moves going on every which way. And that was bold stuff from Whincup before. He was prepared to stick it all on the line down there at 1. Well, Moffat down the inside of Rick Kelly.
That's an example, Neil, of what this championship means to Whincup. That was a massive dive down the inside, one of the fastest corners in Australia. Here we go. We're on board, and that is as fast and as wild in the rain as you would ever see. That's on board with Whincup. That's Mostert trying to get down the inside. And that's Jason Brighton behind. But just to the front was Van Gisbergen, and the slide, the dive that they had. It was extraordinary car control from 2 of the best drivers in the field, and they got away with it.
Brilliant exchange. Very high quality driving from all of the key runners out there at the moment. Van Gisbergen has got the lead of the race by 0.2 of a second from Chaz Mostert, who's got some form at the moment. So has Van Gisbergen used too much of the tyre edge too early in the race? Mostert is looking very racy at the moment.
On the previous lap, 47.76, 47.71. So slightly faster for young Mostert. Will Davison and Jason Bright are also showing great pace. In fact, Davison was down the inside. Courtney, he's just escorted Moffat wide at turn 4. Todd Kelly right up in behind Garth Tander. So some pretty wild stuff there with the factory Nissans and the factory Holdens. And this one is going to be close. I thought Moffat was going to have a dive then at Courtney. That was going to end up in the same result as Caruso and Pye. Very little grip on the approach to that one. Van Gisbergen, just a bit of composure now. He's done a very good job of just calming the second half of this lap down.
This is a great job by Will Davison and Erebus Motorsport here as well. New fastest second sector of the lap. Shane Van Gisbergen, flamboyant, again, sliding all the way up to the final 2 corners of the racetrack, Van Gisbergen. It was a great shot there. We just caught a little bit of him doing his thing. So he's got 0.9 of a second as he tries to eke out that margin again to Chaz Mostert. Here he is. Yeah, he was wildly sideways there. Some of the attitudes that he manages to pull on the car, that was at turn 9. So he's just done the fastest lap of the race in unbelievably low light and unbelievably low grip. We think this is going to be time certain, as it was for race number 26 because of the safety car interventions. Oh, contact! Contact with Todd Kelly. And both off the road, interlocked. They can't do anything about it. And that's the end, potentially, for both of them. Can they skate back on?
I think it looks like there's a puncture. Right front tyre on Garth.
Come across on me and broke the front of the car and popped us out of the race.
So Garth Tander doing the commentary for us, explaining why he couldn't turn left down there. Here it is again on the Gillette replay. So contact as they came down into the braking area. Look at the front brake rotor on Todd's car. Garth can't steer. Carts Todd wide. Garth is parked out there. Yeah, I think Todd grabs a gear and manages to get on his way once again. Great shame because Todd was actually making big ground through that field. Wincup's done the fastest first sector of the race on this lap. So they've managed to knock a bit of the water off the racetrack. Here's Lowndes. He's having a battle here with Rick Kelly. They're both chasing James Courtney. Lowndes on the outside at 8.
It's extraordinary to see the racing lines as we're seeing today. For many years, it's one of the only racetracks in Australia where this outside line works. Mark Larkham explained it a little while ago as to why on the outside surface, and it's a very weird feeling in the car because when you turn at the corner and it starts to slide, you think you're going off the road, but the further that you escape wide, the more grip there is. So it's almost like a safety blanket. And the outside of the road has immensely, like 10% more grip at the end of the track.
Watching Russell Ingall with Nick Percat here at the moment. These guys are 11th and 12th in the field. Meantime, the battle between Fabian Coulthard and James Moffat. Moffat has a look down the inside at turn 2. These fellas are disputing 6th and 7th. That's Moffat for position. Carts him wide. Done. Draw your attention to the counter and the clock down on the left-hand side of screen. Time certain finish for this race. Oh, Fabian by response on the outside, just whipping. Perfect explanation visually of what you were just describing there a moment ago, Mark. And as you say, in the car it feels all wrong. There's nothing like the normal racing line around here. Meantime, Rick Kelly with Craig Lowndes, 9th and 10th. It's a massive fight up and down the field. And Percat off at high speed at 5.
That was Ingall. I reckon they may have come together on the way into turn 5. They were battling at that stage, the two of them. So Nick, who was escorted off the road by Scott Pye in the previous race, right at the end of this one, has had the same thing. That's Ingall down the inside, turns in and bang, contact. Now Russell may have been up there far enough. It's hard to know from this angle, but what happens is you just don't see. You can't look backwards that way. Nick wouldn't have even known where he was. In fact, because it all fogs up, you just lose the car that's with you.
Look at this.
What a great exchange this has been. Remember, Moffat went off early. His pace was great. He was running 3rd or 4th at that stage.
He's driving the wheels off it, isn't he? So this is a mighty performance. And Chaz Mostert, by the way, has just done the fastest second sector split on the racetrack. So he's not giving up, and he's only 3/4 of a second behind Shane Van Gisbergen. It's the last lap. The last lap, race number 27 of a very wet, soggy V8 supercar race meeting today at Sydney Motorsport Park. That is the margin between first and second.
Car 97 has commenced the last lap.
It is a battle between the VIP Pet Foods Holden Commodore Techno Autosports, the Kiwi Van Gisbergen, versus Pepsi Max Ford Performance Racing Chaz Mostert. A couple of the young guys in the field. He's got the margin down ever so slightly. This has been an impressive performance from Mostert.
It's coming at him. He's doing a really good job. He's driving it so well on the exits, so straight on the exits. Van Gisbergen used every little bit of road and some on the way out of 5. Mostert gets it slowed down. He's got to make this nice and straight. They burst into wheel spin at the change of surface there. It looks like Van Gisbergen's just been able to eke that lead out just a little bit in the midsection of this lap, and he has. He might get away with this one. Mostert, great drive. He has come forward. He started 11th. He's now 2nd. He's in front of Whincup. He wanted to put margin for his teammate in this championship to push Whincup back another position. He's done exactly that. But Van Gisbergen, what a great drive, Neil.
Very impressive performance, and he managed to take the pressure off again in the last half of the last lap, Shane Van Gisbergen. Once he got the tyres back up to temp, he was okay.
Great drive, P1. Well done, mate.
But it wasn't because Mostert wasn't giving it a huge go. But it's an impressive and incredible performance by Van Gisbergen for a double shot today. Winner of race 26 and 27, the Kiwi Van Gisbergen gets it home from Chaz Mostert. And Jamie Whincup home in 3rd position, followed by Jason Bright, then Will Davison, James Moffat, Fabian Coulthard, James Courtney, Rick Kelly and Russell Ingall. What a job by Shane Van Gisbergen, the very first time that he's put back-to-back wins together. And a little team punching above its weight. And you can actually see the shift lights that were all illuminated like a Christmas tree on the steering wheel then as he went berserk over the top of the hill between 3 and 4.
They're both turning it on now. This is fantastic car control from these two young guys.
He wanders back to New Zealand to do a bit of drifting here and there, and I reckon in these conditions it serves him very well. And Chaz Mostert emulating.
Here's Whincup in the background. It's like an expression session.
Full freestyle. Freestyle V8 supercar. So Van Gisbergen survives. A little mid-race scare. A scare also for Whincup, and a charging drive from Chaz Mostert. Very impressive.
Jason Bright's looking at these three lunatics saying, gee boys, I thought we were all sideways enough without having to do all that. Look at that.
Remember that as we see synchronised sliding, remember that Mostert qualified 11th to get into that position at the end of the race, to get on the podium. Very impressive performance.
And it pushed Whincup back a spot at the pointy end of this race, which is, at the end of the day, Neil, they're big moments in the championship because if you look at how sideways Whincup is.
That was important, that little radio message about they need tyres for tomorrow. I wouldn't be torturing them too much at the moment. They've got to try and make the best of their 12 wets. Here's the results. Shane Van Gisbergen, 0.7 of a second over Mostert. And then Jamie Whincup, Jason Bright, Will Davison. They're all heroes today. James Moffat, Fabian Coulthard, James Courtney, Rick Kelly, Russell Ingall. That's your 10. And then it's Lowndes, Winterbottom. At least he got some valuable points. Winterbottom in 12th. Looking further down, Jack Perkins in 16th position there for Geldwen. Garth Tander, what a shame for him. Good solid pace, interlocking with Todd Kelly down at turn 2, tipped him off the road, busted steering, left him stranded down there, and a drama in that previous race for Tim Slade meant that he wasn't out there. It's number 1 for 97. Shane Van Gisbergen. Mega performance today, great driving, one tiny slip up in the toughest of tough conditions. There's the points margin now. Whincup's opened it up to 69 points. And getting on the podium for Jamie Whincup and just continuing to score and score and score is protecting that championship situation for him. Well, that was a very, very tough race. Shane Van Gisbergen gets it done in the end. It's now career victory number 7 in V8 Supercars for Shane, but importantly, back-to-back. And 150 points for a very hard day behind the wheel for Shane Van Gisbergen today. Let's get down to Barrett's.
Hey, Shane, fantastic. 2 wins today. You've given Holden the Manufacturers Championship, and you've taken yourself to 5th in the championship for drivers. Just a great day's work.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks to our sponsors, VIP, Lucas Oil and Holden for a great day. It was really cool, and had to fight for it on that one. Jamie was much quicker, and then I made a mistake and he caught right up, and then after the safety car, my tyres were gone, and Chaz was doing some good lines, so I could see him in the mirror and copied him a bit and just held him out. But yeah, awesome race. We'll see what happens tomorrow.
Well done. You are fantastic in the wet. Congratulations. We'll see you up at the podium. And Chaz Mostert, what an awesome day for Chaz. Well done, mate. What a drive from 11th up to 2nd. A great duel with Jamie Whincup. That's one to remember.
Yeah, I actually learned a lot off behind him actually out there. So learned some good lines out there, really helped me out. I thought the car wasn't that good, but then once I learnt the lines, the car was excellent. So yeah, you know, congratulations to Van Giz. He's obviously awesome in the wet, being a Kiwi and all. It was good to be on his bumper there at the end and give him a bit of a rush for, you know, obviously for the podium. And yeah, it was good battling with Jamie as well. You don't every day you get to beat the champ, so I'll take this one today. It's pretty fantastic.
And great for your championship too.
Yeah, hopefully, yeah. I don't know where the points are at. We weren't so good in the first one. We didn't quite have the tyres, so we changed some set of tyres and it was much better. So, yeah, looking forward to tomorrow if it's dry or wet. Probably more wet, I'd hope. So, yeah, big thanks Pepsi Max, all the people that made it possible, and looking forward to tomorrow.
And congratulations, you've bumped yourself to 7th in the championship. Chaz, great work. Well done.
Thank you very much.
And Jamie Whincup, as always. Gee, there's some great duelling going on there as he just congratulates Chaz Mostert. Jamie, hey, a rewarding day. That's been good.
Yeah, good fun actually. Good fun. It was it's all going on here at the restart, which I really enjoyed. So my car was good. Just kept mowing the grass. That was my only problem.
See you tomorrow, mate. Well done.
Cheers. Thanks.